Namaste, everybody. Jónapot kívánok. Szép jó estét. Remélem mindenki jól vagytok. Thank you so much for joining this presentation. My first word is a word of gratitude to the Amrita Shergill Cultural Center, to Madam Tanuja Shankar, Director of Amrita Shergill Cultural Center, and I am delighted to participate in yet another episode of the Diaspora Diaries, celebrating the 75 years of independence, Amrit Mahotsav. And I'm grateful to the Indian Embassy to give me this opportunity to speak to you about a topic that is very, very close to my heart: integrating body, mind, and soul through the ancient Indian philosophy. So I combine the work that I have grown up with in the East with the West and apply it to modern times, to make this easy for each one of us to follow and live a happy, blissful life. If any of you have questions in Hungarian, please feel free to put it on the in the chat. I will go from time to time and check the chat. But first, let me start the presentation with a short centering practice. So each one of us has come from a busy day after a long day at work. I myself had some technical challenges to join this call, and I noticed a lot of frustration, anxiety, stress building up. But thanks to my centering practices, I managed everything very calmly, and I can stay so calm and present to you. So let's just observe what is going on right now in our minds. Let go of the stress, let go of the tension that our days have produced, and let us just be present. Let us arrive here. Let us be in this moment. Because the moment that is now, that is what we have in hand. What is yesterday, what is 10 minutes ago, what will be 2 hours later, does not matter. It is the now that matters. So let us simply spend a few minutes being in the now, being in the present, and notice what is going on with you. As you are just letting go of the day, some of you probably are joining from India, where it is late evening. Let go of your day and simply be. Notice the mind trying to go here, trying to go there. Bring the mind back to center and notice what happens to you when you do so. When the mind is disturbed, it is exactly like the mud coming up when you throw a stone in a still lake. That is mind. Observe the mind. Learn to observe the mind. This is something I carry so dearly with me, thanks to my Indian roots. Learning to observe the mind makes the journey so much easier. And I start this presentation with a quote by Mahatma Gandhi. We celebrated his birthday on October 2nd. Watch your thoughts. they become your words. Watch your words, they become your actions. Watch your actions, they become your habits. Watch your habits, they become your character. Watch your character, it becomes your destiny. I cannot agree with Mahatma Ji, with Gandhi Ji more. And my presentation is going to start with this model that I learned in the United States at Newfield Network, where I was trained to become an ontological coach. Looking at this model, if you put yourself, take a reflection of yourself, are we not all moving between action and results? We're all moving between action and results. We don't get the results, we go change the action, and we go back and forth. And Einstein, long ago, called this insanity. He said, guys, you are insane. Look at the observer that you are. Start taking actions from a different mindset. If you want to produce the results of happiness, joy, bliss, magic. And so my work and my presentation, short presentation today, is going to be, how does one shift the observer that we are? How do we watch our thoughts? As I said in the centering practice earlier, when we are thinking thoughts, how often are we in the present moment? Take a minute, take a second to reflect. How often am I in the present moment? Because if you think about it, it's the past and the future that is taking up most of our time. But those of us who have practiced being in the present moment, this is what the present moment is giving me. Noticing what the present moment is giving me and learning to work through that present moment. Yes, I myself faced frustration when I couldn't get through with technology this afternoon, despite doing trial runs. Technology is technology. Am I going to disturb my inner well-being? The answer is no. Clear no. But that doesn't mean that I don't face the frustration. So how does one watch thoughts? One watches thoughts by staying in the present moment. And there is a little distinction I would like to give you about thoughts. There are the facts that are happening in our life, and there are the assumptions, the assessments that we are living our lives from. Now, the next slide will show you. This diagram will show you. One of us sees this as 4. One of us sees this as 3. Reality can be so complex that equally valid observations from differing perspectives can appear to be contradictory. And as I was telling you, when we live our lives from our assessments as if they are the ultimate truth, this is when trouble starts. Listen to this very carefully. Learn to distinguish between what is the fact and what is the assessment. Because those assessments determine the hidden beliefs conscious, subconscious beliefs and stories that we are telling ourselves based on the family we were raised in, based depending upon the culture that we have been brought up in, based on our karmic imprints, our karmic patterns. So a lot of stories and beliefs we are carrying consciously and unconsciously. Let us learn to be very careful about how those beliefs, how those stories are actually disallowing us to live our true potential. Because we are supposed to be joyful, blissful, happy. This is what ancient Indian philosophy teaches us. And we wonder, how can we be happy, joyful, blissful when there's so much stress around us? There's so much difficulties and challenges around us. How can we do that? This is how we do it. By noticing what are those deep beliefs that we are holding on to so tightly that is not allowing us to experience the freedom. That's not allowing us to tap into the magic. And another distinction I'd like to give you is the phenomenon versus the interpretation. Something happens to us. A phenomenon happens to us as a child. Many of us go through happenings in childhood. We, in our little memory, in our little mind, decide to interpret it in a way based on our way of being that I just shared with you earlier. Our beliefs that shape the way we see the world. And then we put everything in a box. And what do we do after that? We operate from that narrow box that totally limits our vision. So this is a little bit of information I'm giving you about thoughts, about language. What assessment are you living out of most days? Are you willing to get curious and start living from a place of assertions, facts, truth, successes, moving away from your stories and those bull beliefs that are ruling your life? Are you willing to take control of your life and the choices that you make? This presentation will be uploaded on YouTube. It will be available. Go back to it. Look at it. Listen to it. And reflect. Because you will get the answers. Let me tell you a little bit about emotions. If we stay in certain emotions over a period of time, it becomes a mood. What is emotion? Emotion is energy in motion. Emotion is something we feel when an outside event triggers feelings within us. And those feelings we keep accumulating. Those determine the actions we take, and that brings about the results. Let's go back to that slide. Emotions determine the actions that you take that produce the results. Now, how do you change your emotion? So I'm going to share a short practice with you, a very short practice. And the questions that I'm leaving you with is, which emotion do you find yourself in most times? Is this helping you in creating well-being and balance? What could you do from today to start noticing and then learning to move swiftly from one emotion to another? The emotional agility practice is what I've brought with me to share with you. What is the emotional agility practice? Very short practice. Bring in your way of being consciously right now a feeling of anger, a feeling of resentment, a feeling of jealousy, a feeling of hatred, something that really, really upset you. Notice what it does to you. Notice where it sits in your body. Notice what thoughts happen at the time when you're going through these emotions. Simply learn to notice, because my aspiration today is to increase and raise the awareness muscle within you. If I have succeeded in doing that, the work has begun, the journey has begun, the transformation has begun. Where do you feel it in your body? What happens? Just notice really quickly. And now, if some of you can get up and just walk around a little bit with your headphones, and then return back to your position where you're sitting, back to place, and consciously think of something really sweet that happened this morning. And notice what it does to you. I can tell you, my daughter called me at 2:45 and said, "Mom, I love you so much." When I was going through those frustrated moments, I was thinking of my little daughter saying, "Mom, I love you so much. Good luck for your presentation today." Immediately it brings a smile, doesn't it? That is what we must learn to do. Moving out from an emotion of frustration, moving out from an emotion of anger, moving out from an emotion of guilt, because those emotions predispose us to take the actions that produce the results. Let us learn to take control of our lives. Body. Different body dispositions. Some of us are open. Some of us are very stable. Some of us are very resolute. We want to just get things done. Some of us are flippy, floppy, flexible. Just go, just flow, just dance. What disposition feels most comfortable for you? That is your default setting. But when we learn to embrace the other body dispositions and learn to embrace the possibilities that emerge when we start moving from one disposition to another, that is when we actually start enjoying the beauty of life. Because think about it, if I'm just going to go resolute all the time, and I have no flexibility, I have no openness, I have no curiosity, I have no stability, my life is going to be a mess. I'm just going to be resolute just going forward, not thinking of anybody, just going with my blinkers on and just going. Think about it. What happens when you start embracing, inviting other body dispositions? And one really important disposition is the disposition of dignity. What does the body disposition of dignity look like for you? Because a lot of my work is with dignity. Because if you think about it, we are not living lives from a place of dignity, most of us. I leave you with these thoughts about body. The soul. I bring a quote by Swami Vivekananda. All wisdom and all purity are in the soul already, dimly expressed or better expressed. That is all the difference. And he's so right. As I said to you, the choice is in our hands. How do we become wise and pure? Because Swami Vivekananda says, we have it in the soul already. Yes. The coaching work that I do with my clients, the starting point is each one is wise, resourceful, and whole. And during the conversations, in the course of the conversations, I help the client tap into that wisdom, tap into the wholeness, the purity of spirit that we are. I'd like to conclude my presentation with some quotes from the Guru Granth Sahib. I have been seriously learning the wisdom for the last 1.5 years, thanks to my current master, Veer Manpreet Singh. He has very beautifully guided me into learning the wisdom of this very beautiful, comprehensive text, which is the Guru Granth Sahib. And I bring 2 quotes from the Guru Granth Sahib, one by Guru Arjan Dev Maharaj and one by Guru Nanak Dev Ji, whose picture you see on this slide. And what does Guru Arjan Dev Maharaj say? Kirt karam ke vichre, kar kirpa melo ram. He tells us we have committed so many sins and actions in the past, not just in this life, but in lives before this. And we continue to commit those unwholesome actions, which is why we are separated from you. Please show us your mercy and unite us with yourself, Lord. Isn't that what Swami Vivekananda says? All wisdom and all purity is in the soul already, dimly expressed or better expressed. That is all the difference. The next quote is by Guru Nanak Dev Maharaj. Ik nanak ki ardas, je tud bhavasi. Nanak makes this one prayer. If it pleases your will, मैं दीजिए नाम निवास हर गुण गावसी. What is he saying here? एक नानक की अरदास जे तुझ भावसी, मैं दीजिए नाम निवास हर गुण गावसी. Give me this one gift, O Lord, if it pleases your will. So he's not putting demands. Notice what we do. We are putting demands. We expect things to happen in a certain way. Bless me with a home in your name, Lord, that I may sing your glorious praises. So there's total and complete surrender, obedience to the divine. Now let each one of us pledge today to take one small step, because today is also the beginning of the 9 days of fasting of Navratri, where we invoke the power of Goddess Durga for 9 days, for 9 nights and 10 days, and convert the evil into good. Wisdom and purity are in the soul already, dimly expressed or better expressed. That is all the difference. I will end my presentation now, and if there are any questions in the chat, I will answer those questions. I also would like to thank all of you for listening to my presentation, for joining the presentation, joining this talk. And I'd like to say a few words in Hungarian for my Hungarian listeners. Köszönöm szépen szívból, hogy itt vagytok velem, és hallgattok engem. Nagyon-nagyon alázatosan köszönöm, és üdvözlöm mindenkit, aki itt hallgatja engem. Thank you so much with tremendous humility and appreciation. Namaste. I respect each one of you the way you are, because as I said, each one of you is wise, resourceful, and whole. Thank you.